What's up everyone, it's your fave Naija Kiwi, the sassy engineer, coming to you live from down under. Kia ora, now my harimai. If this is your first time of seeing my face, you're welcome. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to join the community. And always remember to like my videos as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. So some of you might know this, but some of you may not know this. In the next 2 months, the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup will be taking place for the first time ever in the Southern Hemisphere. And that's not the only interesting fact. This will be the first time that is co-hosted by 2 confederations. Like, I know what confederation means. And this will also be the first time ever that it features 32 teams. So there's a lot of firsts here. I had to adjust my lighting, I beg, the sun was too much. Anyway, as I was saying, there's a lot of firsts for this event, and Australia and New Zealand are doing a lot to get ready for this event. And I am sure that you may want to be a part of this event. So I thought I should use this as an opportunity to talk about the kind of visas that you can use to come to New Zealand for a sporting event. And it's funny that I'm talking about New Zealand, yet I am wearing an Australian t-shirt. That's because Nigeria will be scheduled to play in Australia, particularly in Brisbane, if I'm not mistaken. I can confirm that later. First of all, go Super Falcons. If you want to come to New Zealand for a sporting event and you are not partaking in that event, you are not a support worker, you are not a media person for that event, you just want to come as a spectator, the visa that you'll be applying for will be a visitor visa. Visitor visa has been discussed separately in another video, but in summary, you can use your visitor visa to visit New Zealand. While you're in New Zealand, you can study for a short period of time, usually less than 3 months. You can also use your visitor visa to attend a job interview. So these are some of the things you can do on a visitor visa beside tourism. And you can use your visitor visa to attend the sporting events as well. So what does this mean for FIFA Women's World Cup, the one that's happening in July? It means that if you are a spectator, then you will need a visitor visa. But if you are from a visa waiver country, you may only just need an NZETA. I have a video on my channel so that you can watch to check if you qualify for NZETA or not. Now, if you intend to shuffle between Australia and New Zealand to watch the FIFA Women's World Cup, when you're applying for your visitor visa, make sure to indicate that you want multiple entry visa, so that when they are approving the visas, they'll give you a multiple entry, which will then allow you to travel in and out of New Zealand. But also note that when you're going to Australia, if you are not from a visa waiver country, you would also need Australian visa. So if that is your intention, make sure that you also apply for Australian visa, because the New Zealand visa does not automatically give you access to Australia. Okay, INZ that encourage spectators to apply for this visa by the end of April to ensure that it is approved and you have your visa to make it to the FIFA Women's World Cup. It doesn't mean that you cannot give it a try, just apply. 50-50, they may approve it before the FIFA World Cup or not. I don't know, I cannot say, I'm not a visa officer. But INZ that encourage spectators to apply for this visa by the end of April, so that they are guaranteed that their visa will be out before the FIFA World Cup begins. But just know that you can use a visitor visa to come to New Zealand to watch any sporting event. It can be a rugby event, it can be cricket, it can be basketball, whatever sporting event. If you are not partaking in the event, if you are not a support worker, a media worker, all those things, then you will need the visitor visa. So check out my video on visitor visa. If you're a sports person, a support worker, media, broadcasting, just people really working with the actual event, then you will need a sports event visitor visa. So what is the cost, who is eligible, the process, and all that. Let's check it out. The sports events visitor visa, like I said, is a visa that allows you to visit New Zealand for a sports event or tour. If you are a sports person, you are a support staff member, a match tournament official, media broadcaster, and you can stay in New Zealand on this visa for 3 months, and it costs from $211 to apply. And this is just an estimated time for processing that visa. With this visa, you can visit New Zealand for a sports event or tour. The benefit of this visa is that you not only come to New Zealand to work in New Zealand and gain that international work experience, you get to also travel the country, because New Zealand is really beautiful. So during your trip, you can explore the country and experience the beautiful landscape of New Zealand. The things you have to note here is that you can only work at the sports event you are coming for in New Zealand. If you need to be in New Zealand more than 3 months for that sports event, you will need to apply for a work visa. If you are from a visa waiver country and you meet all the criteria for this visa, then you don't need a visa before coming to New Zealand, but you must hold an NZETA. So who can apply for it and what kind of evidence you need to provide? You must provide proof of your identity, obviously. You must be in good health. You must be of good character. You must genuinely intend to meet the conditions of your visa. So these are some things that you have to provide. Again, since this is a temporary visa, it's always good to show that you have strong socioeconomic ties to your home country. And you must be coming for a sport event in New Zealand to work at that sport event or tour tournament. And these are the evidence you need to provide. They say would depend on your role. So if you're a sport person, support, we must provide evidence of that role. If you're a media broadcasting personnel, you must provide evidence that you are accredited by an international governing body for that event. Then you need to show that you have enough money to live on while you're in New Zealand, or you have an acceptable sponsor. So it's almost like a visitor visa. You need at least $1,000 per month or $400 per month if you already have accommodation. So these are different proofs that you can provide. You can give all of them, you can give one of them, you can give two. If you are sponsored, your sponsor has to give this evidence. If you are not sponsored, you must show that you have enough money or you have a ticket to leave New Zealand. And you must agree to pay your own health cost. So this you have to declare on your visitor visa. They recommend having a full medical insurance, and I also recommend having medical insurance because you never know things that happen. You can actually, in this one, include your partner and dependent children up to the age of 24 in your application. You obviously would need to provide evidence of your relationship to them. It can be birth certificate, family photo, whatever. All right, so we have seen all the criteria, the eligibility, and the documents that you need for this sports events visitor visa. So now what is the process, what is the cost, and how long will it take? I need the country details for this. Let's use Brazil. For this visa, you can apply for it online or on paper. I like online. Before you apply, I always advise gather all your documents that you need for this visa so that once you start, you are ready to go immediately. It costs $281 for applying for this visa. The number of people you put in your application also affects your visa fee. So this was $281 was a cost for 2 persons and this is a cost for 1 person. Before you apply for this visa, check if you are from a visa waiver country because you may only need an NZETA. Then you apply online, upload all your documents and pay your fees. They will make a decision about your application. If they need anything else, they may contact you. With temporary visa, most times they don't, but ideally they are supposed to contact you if they need anything else. So at the moment, it takes between 6 days to 47 days to process this visa. I think it's going to be faster, especially since FIFA World Cup is coming on soon. So they're going to sort of prioritize it, but this is just my opinion. So that is just about how you can apply for this visa, the cost and the time frame and the process. Since you're applying online, you can pay your visa fees using a credit card or you can pay using a debit card. And you don't need to send them your passport or other documents unless they ask for it. So that's something to note. If you choose to apply on paper, we will change it to on paper and still say 1 person. You see that the process changes. You need to complete the application form and send it to them. You have to post that application depending on if you have a immigration office in your country. In this case, in Brazil, they don't have it. They have it in USA. So they will pay an immigration cost and they'll also pay the receiving center fees as well as courier fees. So you see that the money adds up. Then once the decision is made, they will have to send it to you. So payment in person, you can either pay by cash, credit card, or by post. And you have to post your application to this visa application center. So if you're fortunate, you have it in your country, or you may not have it in your country. That is why it's always better to apply online, especially if you don't have a New Zealand visa application center in your country. I would always advise to apply online. These are some of the conditions that you need to meet once you have your visa. It doesn't mean that your visa is approved that you enter New Zealand just like that. You have to meet entry permission, which is just basic stuff like sign here, take your fingerprints and all that. If you're traveling in and out, you need to have a valid multiple entry travel condition. So if you require that, make sure that you indicate that you need multiple conditions. You must have a ticket to leave New Zealand or a sponsor that can afford that ticket. And your sponsor should be able to sponsor you, or you must have enough money to take care of yourself while you're in New Zealand. You can only work for that sports event while you're in New Zealand, and you need to leave New Zealand before your visa expires. You will normally require a work visa to come and work in New Zealand, but they've created this one specifically for short sport tournaments, and this visa is available to play players as well as anyone associated with the sport, so officials, support staff, and just anyone essential to the success of this event. Things to note: if the sport event is for more than 3 months, then you would need to apply for a work visa before coming to New Zealand. If you're from a visa waiver country, you don't need to apply for this visitor visa unless you don't meet their character requirements. But if you're not from a visitor waiver country and you are not part of the people essential to the success of this sport, then you'll need to apply for a visitor visa. There's also another one. This one is called a talent work visa. I'll talk about that separately, or you can just read about it on INZ website. But briefly, it's for people who have talent, exceptional talent in areas of sports, arts, and culture. While doing my research for this video, I saw a flowchart which I think is beneficial to this video, since I'm talking about visas that can bring you to New Zealand for a sporting event. This is what I mean, but the essential skill work visa has closed and has been replaced by accredited employer work visa. Alright, so those are some visas that you can use to come to New Zealand for a sporting event. Mainly the visitor visa and the sport event visitor visa are the two key ones that you can use to come to New Zealand for a sporting event. I hope this video helps you. Make sure you save it, because I know some of you will need it sometime in the future when you want to come and watch almighty All Blacks play. Don't forget to like this video because it helps with the algorithm, okay? So that YouTube can recommend it to people who need it. So I know that people come to New Zealand a lot for sport events: cricket, rugby, basketball, sometimes football. Surprise, surprise, New Zealand can play football too. And if you haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button to join the community. And by the way, go Nigeria! See you in Australia. Thanks for watching. Bye now. Hello, you don't